Calling TNP Knife Nation. Can you hear me? Over. I think they're there. Well, I'm going to assume they are. Nothing Fancy Project, summer 2014. Here comes a KRV for you guys. I think you're going to dig this knife. It is insane. No, I'm not kidding. This knife is so insane. It just is, I don't know, all kinds of second kind of cool. Check it. What? There's nothing special about that, nothing. Well, maybe you haven't seen this knife yet. It is called the Microtech Venomtech VT-1. It is a limited production OTF double action knife by our friends at Microtech. And if you think it's not cool, I beg to differ. Check that, how cool it is. What? That's still not cool enough for me. Especially how much Microtech charges for their knives. Well, how about this then? Dang, son! Yeah, that is insane. Alright, I've done a lot of videos on autos. OTFs, out the side autos. Mixed results generally from a lot of folks about autos. But one thing you cannot deny is they are all kinds of second kind of cool. Like I've talked about in tons and tons of videos. They're just cool to play with. They're cool to collect. They're cool to show off to your friends. This one is off the charts cool. For a lot of reasons. Let's talk about, we'll jump into POU. Conversation piece. If you have knife buddies, okay? Be careful, by the way, when you put this back in the sheath. And I've been known not to be careful, just like you probably. It happens. Knife guys know what I'm talking about. It happens. Be careful. But if you have friends that can appreciate a good blade, especially a Microtech, show them this knife, and then prepare to block out the next half hour talking about it. Because when you first draw it out, they're going to go, "That's like a joke, isn't it?" Honestly, that's what I thought. When I saw this for the first time, I was like, that's kind of a joke knife. Funny. It's funny, you know. Long handle, short stubby blade, a psych out knife. Not quite. It is an elongated Ultratech. Ultratech. That sounds familiar. I think we've talked about Ultratech somewhere along the way here in the Net Fancy project. Oh, serial number 007 right here. The TMP Ultratech, my special edition with the bayonet blade. This thing's gone up in value. Very limited edition. Congrats to those guys that scored it. I went with a two-tone black, polished flats, satin flats actually, claw on the front. Oh man, I'm just getting excited. Really an awesome OTF knife, double action knife. You know, just like we've seen a lot. Let me put this out and you can see the size differences between a regular Ultratech, granted different style of blade, versus the Venomtech. In case you're wondering, that is a 5.5 inch blade on that Mamma Jamma. I know. And get this, 4.6 ounces. 4.6 ounces for a 5.5 inch blade. Now you can see why I'm so super stoked on this knife. You guys already knew I love that one. So this is like more to love. Look at that blade. It's a standard double-edged dagger blade that we see on several Microtechs actually. It just depends on what production run is featuring them. You talk about, you know, we're talking conversation piece. We'll bounce back to that, I'm sure. But let's talk about serious social purposes. If you ever had to defend your life with this knife, number one, and I've said this in so many reviews, is it's very important to have the freaking knife with you, right? Well, when a knife is this small and this portable, you're probably more apt to have it with you. Number one. Number two, it's lightweight, 4.6 ounces, and that's total carry weight as you see. And then another thing I've talked about in many knife reviews is reach, and I think that goes without saying. This thing has reach. I think it's a capable defensive Honestly, it's designed as a penetration stabbing knife, of course. Will any of these ever be used in that role? I highly doubt it. Going back to conversation piece, they're collectible. Guys, myself included, love Microtechs. They are ultra cool. They are a no compromise knife. There's no compromises made in the construction of a Microtech. Not that I've ever seen. Not to say that maybe once in a great while you'll see some things that maybe bother you about an Ultratech. For instance, maybe your deployment spring is like a little bit too stiff. But as far as the quality, the fit and finish on Ultratech, the fittings, the steels used, flawless. Made in the good old US of A too. Flawless, man. That makes it a cool collector piece, but which actually is going to increase in value. There are a ton of Microtechs over the years that have gone up in value, even though they're a standard production knife, albeit a limited edition production knife. And I've always liked how Microtech has done that. Combat Trudons, regular Trudons, Ultratechs, UTX 70s, the SOCOM Elites that we've talked about. I mean, my SOCOM Elites, especially the auto ones, are worth a ton of money now. You just can't find them now. So good on Microtech for doing that. I don't think you have to worry anything about this knife losing value, assuming you take care of it as a collection piece. If you start daily carrying it for a high-end carry concept, go watch my video on that. I say more power to you. If I gear check you and you have your Venomtech on you, dude, I will be excited. You'll get a gold star that day. Gold star. Look at the deployment speed. Awesome. God, that's a cool knife. Now for some, the deployment button on all the Ultratechs is a little bit stiff. This one is kind of the same way, but it's doable. It does have a safety mechanism, just like they all do. So if it hits something, I'll do it against this box right here. You'll see it will disengage like this. It won't lock the blade. So if you're not familiar with a double action OTF from Microtech, that's how it works. And then you'll have to pull it out all the way, and then you can retract it like so. Man, the size, weight, and reach of the Venomtech is seriously insane. I've only covered 2 philosophies of use, if you've noticed. It's going to be conversation piece, collectible, and defensive knife. What else could you do with this particular one? Now, like the TMP Ultratech, that's an EDC knife. It's smaller, very lightweight, portable, especially a bayonet blade. I put that on it because it's functional and it also has a defensive capability if you need it. Granted, it's not a huge knife, but you can EDC it. I like that. This one, I'm going to stick with those 2 major POUs. Leave it at that. The steel in this current version, 2014, of the Venomtech VT1, again, 5.5 inches of blade, only 2 inches extend out of the handle when it's retracted, is L-Max powdered steel. So it's a powdered steel technology. You can look up all the specifics if you want. It's high quality. The steel that Microtech uses is phenomenal, just like a lot of manufacturers. They have no corner on the market. I would say the speed on this is outstanding. My favorite word. Outstanding for that big of a blade. Now granted, they have a center fuller running down here. It lightens it up a little bit. Notice the blackened blade on this version, which I think is ultra cool. Go figure. 2-tone blade. Yeah, I'm a fan. You see the branding on the blade there. There's that side. They have the small holes in the center. Let's check the sharpness. I would say it's good. I can make it sharper, a lot sharper, but I probably wouldn't do it, especially if it's collectible. Don't go sharpen it unless you need to. And these Dagger blades are really hard to sharpen because you don't really have a flat on a consistent angle sharpener to get her done. I could freehand it. I don't know if I'd make it any sharper than that freehanding. I don't know if I'm skilled enough. Still, lockup. Let's check it out. This is a Venomtech. Superb for an OTF. Double action. You have to have a little bit of movement in that handle set in order to deploy the blade. It cannot be ultra tight. But this is one of the tightest. I'm talking the Ultratech in its entirety, including the TMP one and the regular ones, that See, you hardly see any movement at all. Up, down, side to side, you name it. I'd say the lockup and strength is more than adequate for what you need it for. We talked about in that review of a regular Ultratech about the handle. It's no different. It's the same exact handle. These striations are CNC milled in the 6061 T6 aluminum handle. Whew, that's a mouthful. Are the same. They do provide traction. There is no traction on the side. You could put whatever you wanted there. However, if you're going to be using the included Kydex sheath, not if, when you use the included Kydex sheath, you have to with this knife for obvious reasons, that would interfere. So you'd have to run your, I'm talking like skateboard tape or whatever you decided to put, probably right around here. Hey, if I'm putting it in a practical everyday carry situation, I would probably do that. You've seen some of my SOCOM Elites, my mini SOCOM Elites where I have traction tape on them for that exact reason. If you don't, you have kind of a slick handle. Tri-hole screws, which Microtech has always been known for. And you have a huge impact spike here. Bigger than a normal Ultratech is what I'm trying to say. See it? It can function as a glass breaking tool, automotive glass. Notice there's no clip on the Venomtech because you cannot carry it in your pocket unless you had the sheath on. But I think they intend it to be, as you guessed, as a neck knife. Now, I will always say this, I'm not a huge fan of neck knives. I'm not. I never wear a neck knife for various reasons. One, I have a gun in a shoulder holster and there's some interference issues. I don't like the weight around my neck. Yes, even 4.6 ounces. I know, I'm a wuss. I just don't dig them. However, for this, I might make an exception in certain systems where I needed a big, long, fast deploying blade to stab with. I might make an exception. You'd put your own 550 cord on there, weave it through. Heck, I just reviewed this. If you want, put that freaking prep cord on by BHQ, man, with monofilament in it. Wear it. You might want to have a quick release detachment on the back of your neck. That way if someone grabs it, they can't weaponize it against you and choke you out. And that way you could deploy it. It'd work. But you could also run this on a belt. I could see different scenarios where you use 550 cord or you maybe tie in a tech lock, run it upside down. I did not test that, by the way. Be careful. So if I'm running upside down, you know, I want to show you the fit on this Kydex sheath. It's excellent, and you can see the thickness of Kydex. So it will be somewhat temperature resistant. I'd be kind of scared to do that because with my luck, I'll turn around and this is what I'm going to be looking at. After hiking like 5 miles, what? This expensive Microtech went bye-bye. So it'd be kind of cool if there was a way for Microtech to build in a retention device. So you have a hole here, a rivet hole, and maybe you have an extended key ring here where you could put like a bungee or something that would really lock it in for like, I don't know, some rigorous activities. Be careful though carrying around your neck. You do have this exposed spike. You can fall down and that could rotate into your belly. See where I'm going? So think about it practically, see if it makes sense for you. So there are some ergonomics at play. As far as the roominess of the handle, I think it's fine. The blade ratio to handle ratio is insane. Do I need to say more? No. Price, I think around $280. Is it worth it? Well, frame it in the area of OTFs, I would say totally. For instance, the freaking Benchmade Infidel, which I love, is around $400. And that's not limited edition. It is a great knife. Does not lock up as solidly. It's a double action OTF knife. And it is dwarfed by the Venomtech. So in that frame, I would say totally worth it. So it's, I don't know, 2/3 the price of a freaking Infidel. These are going to sell fast, guys. If you're a Microtech guy, you need to order now from Blade HQ. You just got to order because they'll be gone. Microtech guys, if I know them, do not mess around. They see that knife, judging from this one too, boom, it's gone. They're adding it to the collection. Why? Because they know it's going to maintain their value. In the future, they can bounce this knife back in the market. They paid $280. 5 years from now, they're selling it for $350, $400. Could happen. It has happened, like I've said. There's some other ones you can look at, like the Microtech Halo. This is no longer in production. Moment of silence as we grieve that, by the way. I love this knife, and I brought it to the table. I have reviewed this one. This is the TMP one. Oh, sick! Look at that coloration, dude. Oh my gosh, this knife excites me. Look at that deployment button. Boom! Suck it! Look at that. It dwarfs a regular Ultratech. Yes, the handle's much bigger, but look at the blade. So there's a Venomtech going up against an Ultratech. The blade is still longer than a freaking Halo. Now granted, that does not come without a price, and the price is you are committed to the Kydex sheath forever. You know what you could do as well is you could send it to Red Hill Sheath, and they can make a custom carry sheath for your Microtech. I guarantee you they could do that. So if you wanted to have an attachment method of some sort, if you don't like this sheath I'm saying, have them make you a different sheath. It'll have like an attachment on the back side of it for molly gear. Maybe you want to belt carry it, and I bet you they can even come up with a way, well, I don't know, but I would suspect they could come up with a way to retain it better. A really tight, maybe thick Kydex that really retains your Venomtech. Other competitive options. I don't have this on the table, but the ProTech Dark Angel, but that's a 3.75 inch blade. Piranha Excalibur, maybe a few others I've talked about. Here comes another Microtech option. Oh, sick blade. Same handle set, different blade style. Man, it's a cool blade. All these knives just excite me so much. And then, this is, by the way, winning in the battle of size, at least on the table. Let's give it some competition with my collectible, Eat Your Heart Out, Dalton Battle Dragon, making a rare appearance in the Nut and Fancy Knife Show. Let's see if you can stack up against that, Venomtech. Oh! What? He still has more reach than my Battle Dragon. Wow. Wow. So it still is the longest blade on the table, this Venomtech. For $280, I know they're expensive, but how many times do I have to say it? It's what the market sets for auto knives. Most auto knives. There are some fabulous exceptions. Fabulous. Kind of like the Spec Elite by SOG. Oh my gosh. What a great knife. I don't know, 115 bucks or something? Yeah. So if you want auto, dude, price is a factor. I can't guarantee this is going to increase in value. Can't guarantee it has the same cool factor as every knife on that table. Still highly recommended. Venomtech, get it while you can. I'm not sure how long they're going to produce it. Microtech, don't know. But judging from what I've seen, this knife is going to go fast. It is extremely special, extremely fast. As far as the philosophies we've talked about, extremely useful. Get one and make your other knife buddies jealous. Nothing fancy.